is about that time. After covering our starting pitchers and all of our offensive positions, today we're going to go through our top 10 relief pitchers in MLB The Show 22. This will likely end up being the case for the rest of the year, since there likely won't be too many cards to come out. The thing with these top 10s, like I've done with every single one before, I want to discuss the players I've personally found enjoyment with, or I find preference in, and especially with relievers. This one is tough because, first of all, I barely use them. Starting pitching is so much better in my opinion, but also it is just such a lackluster position. There isn't much depth, so this top 10 list is going to be a tough one. So without further ado, let's hop on into it and see what our reliever list looks like. As I mentioned with every tier list, I'm going to be missing a couple people that you probably enjoy. I'll also be putting someone probably in the top 1, 2, or 3 that I personally really like that is certainly very different from your experience. So if you disagree with me, let me know in the comments. I would love to hear your thoughts, because at the end of the day, this is very subjective. There's so much depth in content in Diamond Dynasty. There might be some players you really like that other players really don't, and that's a very cool part of the game. But now let's hop on into the top 10 relievers and see what we have in store. First, I'm going to mention a couple honorable mentions, and we'll start off with Mr. Seranthony Dominguez from the postseason program. Just in general, I love his hits and Ks per 9, but his overall pitch mix, outlier sinker, solid cutter to pair with it, circle change, he's been good for me so far. The issue with this card, he doesn't have that much change of speed, so he got hit high 90s and also high 80s, so like he doesn't have anything that's really slow, which I like in a card, but nonetheless, Dominguez has been good so far, and I think he's got a very good spot in a lot of bullpens. While it may come to a shock to some, Jonathan Loaisiga, in my opinion, is a very underrated reliever. Great hits per 9, a little low on the Ks per 9 to be realistic. And the thing that really helps him is his pitch mix. Outlier sinker, he's got the slurve and the slider. He's also got a circle change. Loaisiga's been great for me. He hasn't even given up a run in my nearly 4 innings he's thrown. But I do want to mention him in case you are looking for a fun option, because I think he's been incredible for me. And the last honorable mention I'm going to bring up is 99 Aroldis Chapman. Obviously, he's got great hits and Ks per 9. His control isn't the worst, but the issue with Chapman I find him to be very readable this year. He's not been as dominant as he was in years past for me. At points, he's been good, but at points, I find some people can absolutely crush him despite his high velocity. So I'm going to leave him in the honorable mentions, as tough as that is to do. He's definitely a very solid reliever, especially since there aren't many lefties, but nonetheless, I just wish this card was a little bit better. And finally, I do want to mention him for the sake of it. Rob Dibble is not going to be on this top 10 list. I want to get it done out of the way now. While I was hoping he would be good enough to be on this list, first of all, I don't pitch well enough with Rob Dibble, and this card seems to fall in that same boat. So far in my online games, he's given up a lot of runs. And you know, the hits and Ks for 9 are good, you know, solid control. It just with his 3 pitch mix, I don't pitch that well with it. Now, he's obviously got outlier, solid cutter that's significantly slower, and you know, the motion kind of lulls people to sleep. But I've just never been someone who pitches that well with Dibble. So for me, he's not on this list. Don't yell at me. Go debate a wall. No, but like for real, I just don't do well with them. So I kind of want to explain why he's not on my list. Another pitcher that I seem to not do well with, but is good enough to be on this list, in my opinion, is 99 Goose Gossage. In general, I don't pitch that well with Goose cards too often. Really good in the hits and Ks per 9. The walks per 9 is a little low, so he's not going to really have that great of control. It's actually really bad. Good slurve, which in my opinion is one of the better pitches in the game. Got outlier 4-seam, solid sinker. It just, you know, you got to mix in the changeup a lot with him, because you got to hope people are going to dial up for that sinker. Throw that change up, hope you get some early swings, get them to chase below the zone, whatever it is. And I think that'll help this card be a little bit more versatile. But the thing with Goose, you got to really just hope your opponent can't hit the velocity to do well with them. So I'm going to leave him right here at number 10. At number 9, it's another reliever that I typically suck with each year, Eric Gagne. I will say, at least he has outlier in a 4-seam that makes that 4-seam hit a little bit harder. But the thing with Gagne is he's got a very slow curveball that makes him very good against players who chase outside his zone. The Vulcan change I actually really like as a pitch, and of course he's got a splitter as well you can mix into it, and a solid slider. I don't know how you pitch well with him. I've never been good with Gagne cards. I don't know if I rely on the fastball too much or throw too many breaking balls, but there's enough in this card for me to put him in the top 10, so I'm gonna leave him right here at number 9. At number 7, yes, this might feel a little bit low based on how some people use him. I'm gonna put Yohan Duran. He's got the slider instead of the cutter on this card, but the slider is definitely tougher to throw in my opinion. It is so much break, I find some people could lay off it easier. But also, I did not pitch well with Yohan Duran in general, so again, I could just be garbage with him, but the attributes are good. He's actually not bad in the walks per 9. And of course, he's throwing outlier 4-seam, outlier splitter. It's going to be tough to hit, especially if you throw that splitter well. I just don't think I throw the splitter well enough with him. I miss a lot of spots with it, and I'm just bad with him. So I'm gonna leave him right here at number 8. At number 7, this could potentially end up being a little low, but I'm gonna have 99 Devin Williams. This one I think is some pros and cons in comparison to his face of the franchise. I think the face of the franchise had the benefit of a circle change instead of the changeup, which I do like. Circle changes better. They have more depth in their break, in my opinion. Also, his cutter was slower, which I think helped him a lot because the cutter was so slow in the face of the franchise. It was tough to hit high 90s with the four seam and then low 80s with the cutter because they both look like fastballs. But the benefit of this card is he does get the sinker. Devin Williams is a valid pitcher to use. The screwball is always a tough pitch to read. So I'm going to leave him right here at number 7. In my opinion, he's been my favorite best lefty, Josh Hader. He is our number 6 reliever on the list because he's got the high hits and Ks per 9. Outlier two seam is pretty good. The slider is solid. The thing with Hader is he's got that weird motion. It's kind of tough to read him. He's one of my go-to relievers just for getting outs against lefties. Like, if I'm going to go to anyone, it's going to be him. So I'm going to put Josh Hader right here at number 6, but he is our highest rated lefty. At number 5, I have Evan Phillips. The thing with Evan Phillips is he's got pretty good attributes, but the thing is a lot of other finest relievers don't have is a sinker and a cutter, and the sinker is outlier. So he's got enough walks per 9, great other hits and Ks per 9, and you know, pretty good overall pitch mix to the sinker, cutter, slider. I will say, you know, there's a lot of outlier sinkers in the game, so I don't know how valuable that is because so many people are prepared for it out of the bullpen. But something with Evan Phillips I find is just tough to read with him. Definitely a very valid reliever. I'm gonna leave him right here at number 5. The next two are tough to rank in my opinion because I think they're kind of 1A and 1B in terms of some finest relievers. But I'm gonna put Felix Bautista here at number 4. Very good in the hits and Ks per 9. He's got the Rob Dibble type pitch mix, but also a little quicker in the slider than Dibble, I think. But also he's including a splitter. I think this card was very good for me for a while, and after some point the other day, he just started to play like poop. But I think he's definitely one of the better relievers in the game. Got a very good overall pitch mix plus good attributes. So I'm going to leave him right here at number 4. This may come to shock for some, but I'm going to put Edwin Diaz here at number 3. Outlier four seam, good sinker, and a very fast slider. The 92-mile-per-hour slider, in my opinion, is very underrated. The same slider Jacob deGrom has that makes deGrom so good. But in my opinion, someone like Edwin Diaz could be very valid out of the bullpen. He's going to be pitching all in the 90s in terms of velocity, but at least he's throwing hard and has a lot of break in his stuff. And something with Edwin I've always done well with, so I'm going to leave him right here at number 3. The top 2 might be tough in comparison to many other people's lists, but for me, I have to mention Dennis Eckersley. Maxed out hits per 9, really good Ks per 9, and maxed out walks per 9. He dots, and the way that he throws across his body with that slider, I've always loved Eckersley because it's so tough to hit that across the body slider, and you pair that with the sinker inside the lefties. Oh man, it is so tough to hit this card. Treat him like a righty Josh Hader in terms of how he throws the ball, but now you have a sinker in the mix, and while you don't have as much velocity, you kind of can get creative with tunneling the slider and curveball off each other. You can also throw high sinkers a little bit more often because he's got good control of the walks per 9, and this card is dope. So I'm going to put him right here at number 2, but being realistic, you would have a great case for being my number 1. But my number 1, in my opinion, if there's one reliever I want to go to in any 9th inning, it's 99 Mariano Rivera. For me, I want sinker cutter like Mo, but also he's got good hits per 9 and walks per 9. And also the sinker and cutter is a little quick. It's not outlier, but it's quick enough, a lot like a Corey Kluber type pitcher. I really want sinker cutter, and you know, you could also throw in that slider and changeup for Mo to make him very effective. So for me, he's my number 1. He's always been one of my better relievers. I think he's definitely that guy. It's just too bad I don't use him more, but I never get to that point where I need saves to use him. But in my opinion, he's my number 1. So I just want to say thank you all for watching this video and all of these other top 10s. I would love to do one more final bunch of top 10s as this game is at its very end in a couple months from now. We're kind of in that slow point era. I'm going to try to get creative with different content, but also kind of reflect on the year and see how much fun we had throughout this release. But for real, thank you all for watching this series. I would love to bring this back for next year as well, earlier on in the year, along with our tier list that we do, because I do enjoy ranking and suggesting cards to you guys. It is truly fun to make that type of content on the channel. I also do plan on doing some other fun creative stuff. The video you'll see tomorrow, I think, is going to be a very fun one where I try to get World Series for 99 Randy. You guys will enjoy that, so make sure you sub for that. But you all have a great rest of your day. I appreciate you all. I will see you all again on the next video tomorrow. Deuces.